Okay, I'm here. This looks like a tough one. With a little bit of light stuff done on it. Okay, so I think I want to try and take this a little more and get an angle there. It's too steep, and just hit down that for fun. And try and getting the headgummit, getting the cortex off it too. I knocked that one down that way. So see, this is kind of isolated on both sides, but also that got that in a position to come across there good. So that's kind of like a twofer. I'm raising that because it's too low to take a thick flake. And this really isn't a great isolation because this is a lot stronger than that side. But this early in the game, I'm not overly concerned. So I'm stepping up to the heavier one. And I got two choices. I can do this on the back of my leg like that, or I can hold my finger there and hold my fingers underneath like that and try and get something into it. It's really not very high, so it's not great, but let's try it. So it was a little bit thin, ran down there and rolled out, which was predictable. Try it again right here. A little harder. Kind of undercut some of that. And if this damage hadn't occurred, if it hadn't failed there, then I could just raise that up and undercut it good again from that end. And I might still be able to do it a little bit, but I don't think I want to. I think I'd rather come back from this end at some point. Before I do any of that, I got this over here that I can hit. And caught it thin. Didn't get enough of it. Fairly decent flint on this side. I've still got, that's not very. So we got that there, kind of go there. Really about all that's doing. It's not doing a huge amount of good as far as thinning or anything, but it getting the cortex off. Straight down and support, so it, you know, I hit straight down and got an overshot almost. With a big old, got a little thin, almost overshot with a big old heavy thing, and it's like flicking it quick and then the support and just barely catching it. And so combination of variables that made it do things that don't make really any sense otherwise as to why that would work. And that this is heavy and slow for kind of getting into that, but I didn't try and do too much. I tried to go steep. That little thing messes up this. But if I can hit over here, I might be able to kind of push it that direction and sort of blend into it a little bit. Kind of skim that off it. Because again, what I'm sort of doing is want to there we go. We got rid of the big square knob on the end and created a platform to deal with some of that, although it's still too low. But we'll deal with it with multiple hits. It kicked up there, but I had it held in place so it kicked a little further. Really, this would be better going stepping down, but I'll go ahead and do it with this. I got two platforms to hit, one along that ridge and one along this ridge. It kind of downward to let my hand do the work. Came all the way to there. Same thing on here. I'm going to hit over on this side because it's higher, because I want a thicker flake. I want to undercut this little funkiness there. I didn't want it to just, you know, feather out into that little problem. You see how flat that is? I've got a big concavity right here, concavity over there, but I've got this little potential semi-okay platform. Semi-okay. It's still kind of dished right up at the top of it, but I'll hold it together and try and hit on the top side. And I am going to step down on this one, because with this being wrong, that being wrong, and that being a little wrong, it's likely to just break off and fail if I don't make it go kind of quick. So I'll just sort of hold it together right along there, go downward, and undercut that stuff. You know, that was not a good thing to hit, but I just kind of went high enough and put pressure on it to make it ignore the surface. Basically, that flake ignored the surface contours and just did what I wanted it to. I should have hit that harder. I wasn't paying attention. Sometimes I don't pay good enough attention to what I can do with something. Okay, I got a big hump here. And raise that up a little bit. And it's not shaped exactly right, but it'll probably be okay. I'm going to hold that together. Try and hit fairly quickly and just undercut that hump and sink it. And really, I should probably hit this one from this angle, because this is sort of pinched by those two flakes and this delta, so there's a concavity. So even though that's set pretty high, it'll probably fail right there if I hit it. And even if it doesn't, this is a better hit. Although it's got a little diamond on it, so I'll try and get rid of some of that and come up and come up. Try and strengthen that a little bit, and then try and go quick enough along that ridge, supporting it, to make it do something that's, it's like, I still say, you know, it's like pulling that tablecloth out from under that stemware. This is not good. I don't think this will work. I don't think I can make this work. If I were to knock off a little more of that and raise it up higher, because see, I got a concavity there with a partial little flake started, but since I'm goofing around, we'll see what happens if I just sort of hold it together over here and go downward. See, that was not right, but it worked. Because like I went downward and quickly, and the quickness and the downward angle made it momentarily ignore that surface contour And momentarily sometimes is enough because you're past it. By the time it realized it should have stepped out, it was already past it and heading on down the road. And that may not be a good story, but it's the only story I got, so you're just going to have to, you know, work with me. Getting rid of this diamond here. Hitting it at oblique angles. Well, somehow I ended up with almost a biface, which wasn't my thought, but I do not think that there's any substitute for practicing a lot and trying to develop a level. You know, if you want to do direct percussion, I don't think there's any substitute for trying to develop a level of sufficient accuracy to where you have great confidence that you're going to hit where you need to hit, and you can hit it hard and fast to make it go. But that's not the only way to nap, as I've said before. And you're perfectly fine pinpoint what you're trying to do. I mean, if you want to be somebody that makes a lot of big wide blades all the time, then the skill set really needs to be developed. But if you just make regular points and stuff like that, you can always just do things with a lot of smaller, steeper hits until you get in there where you need to be on stuff and then get it. I'm just trying to get rid of all the little square things and hangers down and weirdness. Now that's a pretty easy rock for somebody to come in and finish. There's not a lot of trickiness to that, I don't think. I don't know if I'm boring y'all yet. Actually, I'm probably not, because those of y'all that are left probably aren't bored and everybody else is gone. Cortex and root beer. This looks like Kerr County root beer to me. I don't know. Ooh, that's heat damage. Looks like. I mean, maybe not, but it's damage. I don't, you know, kind of looks like heat damage. Another one of them that was a full nodule, so it's a pig and a poke. You see the damage. That's not damage indicative of being hit by something. You get all those little weird curving damage and stuff. That's usually thermal damage. See them? And then the question you always kind of hold your breath saying, is it just in that end or is it all the way through the rock, you know? And a lot of times there's a point there and a lot of times there ain't. This whole end here is messed up. Hope I didn't pay $1.380 a pound for this. That's a good thing about having had the rock a while. You don't remember how much you got in it when you're ruining it. Oh, well, I do kind of think that might be Kerr County. That's pretty decent root beer if there's enough of it in there. Just always hate to see where somebody did a big old divot out of it. That could have been me that did it, I can't remember, but could also come to me that way. There's a slight little angle on there that made that last flake possible. You hear that? That's that aerodynamic noise. I don't know if they're putting if that's from the landing gear opening or flaps or some kind of surface on the aircraft has got a actuator mechanism or something that, man, when it does it, it does it. Big old square edge, see? Dad gum. Well, I've changed my angle there with that, so now I'm going to try and cheat it on here. Some of the rock that's kind of good doesn't have enough strength sometimes to put up with a lot. I'm trying to hit it hard to do what I wanted to do. But my platform was sort of failing, and you got to watch it. Abrading with coarse abrader, you want to. Coarse abraders take flakes, so at some point, sometimes you got to sort of smooth it out a bit. I'm trying to cut under here. I'm gonna do something I don't usually do, I think. Well, I don't know that I want to do that. I don't want to do that. I was gonna say I was gonna hit over here and come across here, but I've got somewhat of a ridge, so if I can get rid of this square edge the right way, I could come there and I could come there, but it's just sort of hard to figure out how to do that. Especially with those little flaws in the rock. Well, I got one for here, but not really back the other way. Okay, so my square edge is mostly gone. I got something I can try here, and I'm gonna go, since I haven't been working off my leg enough, try and work off my leg, just to show that yes, you can do that. That would be a pretty good scraper, probably. Nice rock. So we did pretty good with those two hits. Trying not to mess that little platform up, because I got a little platform right there that's got a little step right there, so I got to make sure and go under that. And it's fairly flat, it doesn't have convexity, and it's not a very big ridge, so I can't actually expect too much from that. But what I think I'll try and do is gently support underneath it and hit kind of quick and see what happens. And I did succeed in getting it to run down there, but you can see because that ridge was so low, it ran pretty wide and it didn't really do a whole lot of good. I mean, it's questionable as to whether that was worth doing. Now I'm gonna hit downward because I'm hitting on this cortex and don't. The issue there is it just isn't safe. That's not good, that's concrete. It isn't safe to hit on cortex because of the lack of predictability. I mean, if it's a real thin cortex that you worked a million times, you know what it'll do, then more power to you. But it's a variable, like right now. Okay, I've abraded that, I've got it. I can hit up on top it, but that's way up at the center line or even above the center line, and I've got a lot of thickness here, and it would be nice to drive a big old flake into there and eliminate that and start widening what I can do with this to get rid of part of that terrible thing there. Will it work if I hit there, if I hit above there? Well, I'm hitting above it, I gotta hit downward. So that's definitely not great. And it won't give me as good a result as I'd like to get. So instead of doing that, I'm gonna hit a little bit straight down at an oblique angle and get rid of a little bit more of that. And then I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna push hard on that kinda. And there we go. We cut way into that problem. And it's starting to rain on my equipment. Not to mention on me. Dang it. Okay, y'all. I mean, it's not my fault. It's nature. Just blowing that up now. There we go. Still kind of blew up. But you can see we're now getting a situation that's way more controlled than it was. So I think I will put my stuff up before it rains on it. Sorry I didn't do better with this rambling, but some days you're the hammer and some days you're the nail. Bye.